Welcome all to the How to Communicate Authentically Masterclass with yours truly, Kyle Current. Just wait for people to come into the Zoom. So now I'll just talk to the audience for those that are watching and for those that are tuning in for the masterclass. Welcome, How to Communicate Authentically. Now, thank you for joining me. Do I have your permission to make you cringe? To get you uncomfortable, put in the chat. To have fun, to use a bunch of models, to coach you, to also ask questions and read from a slide, and to talk really fast and slow. That's on the slide, right? And also, more than welcome to share on social media, wherever you feel called. And share how you can get more help if you want it. Also, I'm going to quickly run through a couple of disclaimers. I will fucking swear. I will rant on. I will also repeat myself. I will talk about God potentially. I'll say some weird things. I will trigger you, but I'll most importantly be my most authentic self, and I will fuck up, just like before I started this masterclass. But hey, it's all part of authenticity, right? I'm gonna fuck up, you know? Love. So, who am I? I can give you the professional version. So, the last 10 years, I've worked in the telesales industry where I've exchanged over 1 million in phone sales. And I've accumulated over 4,000 plus hours of speaking time and talk time on the phone. And over the last several years, I've invested over 100K in my personal and professional development. And I've connected with some of the masters like Ryan Tuckwood, Australia's #1 sales trainer, Cody McAuliffe, the creator of the world famous Holographic Method, Dr. Espin Ajambi, also James Ballog, who's the founder of World Speaker Institute, Ultimate Entrepreneur, just to name a few people. But where is it okay if I share a quick story? I'll take you back to a moment, take you back to why I started in the telesales industry. It comes from a seemingly upbringing, yet also a job that it took me over a year and a bit to find. based off the fact that I was wanting a suitable job that allowed my needs to get met. So we go to 2000 2012, sitting on my ass at home, and I looking for something better to do with my life. I was through an agency at the time. I was on welfare payments, searching for a job. And then what I recognized, it's like so frustrating, you know? So frustrating. Just trying to find a job. Why wouldn't anyone hire me? Was it because I said too much? Was it because I didn't have the right skills, the right experience? Or was it just because I was crippled? That's a story for another day. I don't know what it was. Just pondering, I was like, someone give me a fucking chance, you know? And after multiple opportunities, finally cracked it. Learn the skill of communication. Learn the skill of telemarketing in a call center, studying at the time university. And it was the worst, uncomfortable feeling I've ever experienced. Every single day, getting rejected on the phone, sounding like a fucking robot, to then beat myself up from the inside. If you haven't felt that, you know what I mean. But the reward was beautiful, learning so much new skills. And then I really got to connect with so many beautiful humans. That's where that started. I went a bit of a tangent, as I said I would. But there's effort in that, you know? And the moment that shifted was being able to learn a skill that I have for life. Communication. It's a bit of that story. But that's professional who I am. This is really who I am. I'm a advocate, personal development junkie. I'm always up for adventure. This is in the bottom left, my family, my mum, the oldest of five siblings. I love to be the fun of the party and also sometimes get myself into situations that I truly feel uncomfortable. This is a lesson, right? And that was one of the first moments I experienced skydive, the only moment so far. And far out, it was such a blast. Meeting Navdeep, Cody McAuliffe, and then also helping support other various events on the beautiful Gold Coast. And that's my father in the beautiful right-handed corner. And my trip to Vietnam on my 30th birthday was such a great time. That's the true essence of me. But why are you here? Well, some people in the chat, Ben, why you are here? To learn about authentic communication, okay? and to also learn different questions to ask. Now, mind you, be transparent and authentic with you all that are watching this or have the recording. There's, I had a few people registered, yet they couldn't make it last minute. And I'm recording this with myself, me and I. And I'm just making shit up as I go, you know? Because we gotta be authentic. Ah. But if you are watching the recording and you're listening, I would love to drop a comment. Why did you want to listen to the recording? Why did you want to watch it? And what is your intention of being here, of watching this masterclass? Whether it's in the comments or whether it's personally DMing me. Love to know. We'll move on, shall we, Kyle? Yes, sir. So now we're on the teaching component. There's 4 levels of learning. So this is something that I didn't really take into consideration when I first started until I really got the point where it is. So you've got the 4 levels of learning. So you've got unconscious incompetence. So basically what that is you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know that you don't know something. And that just allows until you become aware of something. And this is the power of the unconscious mind as well. So some people may be watching this and listening to this, and they may be unsure, incompetent with what authentic communication is, questions to ask without being too much. And then you've got conscious incompetence. Now, you are now aware that you don't know, or are incompetent at something. So basically what that means is that you are aware of something, but you haven't built the skills and built the practice in being competent. Just like me doing this masterclass right now. I've done a couple of masterclass in the past. I'm consciously incompetent at it, but it only comes with practice and keep doing a repetition, right? And then you've got conscious competence. Whoops. Conscious competence. So what that is you develop a skill in that specific area. Example, sales, phone sales, telesales, communication, but you have to think about it. So you're constantly thinking about what to say next, what the process is. Then you've got unconscious competence. You're good at it comes naturally too. So this comes from a level of mastery when you are in practicing with that, because practice makes progress. And when you are unconsciously competent at it, it just becomes consciousness, you know? You just keep repeating and it just comes naturally to you. I'm going to throw in some quotes as well, because Zig Ziglar, I just know of him through reading books, but the most important persuasion tool you have in your entire arsenal is integrity. And when you're real with people, when you're honest with them, they provide that same feedback to you. I'm going to get straight into it. So there's 7 different levels of authenticity, which is also authority. So there's 2 things that you need in building your brand, and that is level of authenticity and the level of authority. So we spiral up into this dynamic, and when you're being too much of something, then your authenticity drops down the spiral and it can create some dissonance within yourself. And I'll run just a moment and shout out to Cody McAuliffe's holographic method for all this content. But this is the level of spiral. We have like a spiral dynamics. Don't know too much about it. What? This level of you spiral up and you may come back down authenticity. So what I mean, what does this bring? So level is this. So how too much you are. So that first level is you shut down. So if someone's saying something to you, you don't want to express yourself, so you then shut down. Then you've got move the chair out of the way. Then you've got the formative. I found myself doing this too much. Like I was oversharing. Like I kept constantly wanting to share about my life. And then it wasn't until I was aware of it that I gathered that it was too performative. And level three is contained. So when you're in certain coaching containers, whether you're in certain spaces, you only share that relevant communication within that container. Then you've got familiar with family, the loved ones you cherish so much. And sometimes you can overshare in that space, yet also they may not understand where you're coming from. Level five is presentative. So just for content purposes, so they get maybe the recognition, the validation. For example, this example, I'm so pumped, but I'm also grateful that I get to share this information with the world to see that I'm very presentative and I may somewhat be too presentative. But hey, it's all for content purposes, right? So I can get those likes, get those likes or don't get those likes, whatever is, meh. And you've got unbound level 6. So I must always share my truth. Always share your truth. Heart on your sleeve. Level 7 is discerned. This is I tune into the time and place to share my truth because my internal truth is for me. And many of these levels I've gone down. I used to feel like I was too much based off the stuff I was sharing because people don't understand me. And the communication was very blurred and there was no context. So I wonder where you could consider yourself to be at. We always bounce between the levels depending on your awareness, depending on the level of authenticity you have within yourself and the perceived level of how too much you may be. So you're always going to bounce between them. That's why we've got the different spirals where like you move up one, you may drop down one. And also this will then create the level of authenticity will then create the level of authority you have in that specific sector. Make sense? Any questions? No, Kyle. Not yet. I have a question for you though. No, I don't. Quick activity, right? Who loves a good activity? So, 1 minute to share something. And I'm just going to share I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about life, you know, passionate about life because I never used to want to be here. I had thoughts run through my mind that what's the point in all this, you know? What's the point in showing up with no one around except for myself and my spirit guides and God is with me all the time? Then I figured that life is in essence magical, beautiful, and the dream is to share this on stage. That's my elevator share. We are going to move into what this masterclass is really designed to be. Now, this is around the unconscious questions that people ask that may not be said. So, for example, this is you, this little round circle. This is you. This is a model. And you've got all these outside circles, because that's what it is, you know. Then, so generally people ask you what. Now, what is what? What does that instill? So you got the what, and you've got the where. There's all different thoughts going on in their mind. Got the how, why, who, and then the big why. So when someone asks what, in correlation to that, the unconscious brain is asking the question of why. They're trying to justify what the answer is to that specific question. And contrary to this, when someone asks where, it's who. So who, where, like who is where? That's the unconscious thought, or that's what they're thinking in their brain. And this comes both paradox as well, because when someone asks who, it's like the where. Someone asks why, it's like the what, why what, and then who, where who. Sometimes it gets confusing, but our brain plays tricks on us. And then you've got how. So how is like how can something happen? And they would relate that back to their big why. And don't take a picture of this just yet. So the big why. So why is everything. That's for me anyways. Don't know about for you. And then the why contradicts that. The who, again, back and forth. Now, what does this mean? I like to call this the conscious mind map. It's my little name for the model because it's like your brain and your and all the wiring and the firing and the things in your brain that happens, you know. So your conscious side of the brain, which is the left side. So the how. Oh, and so the what is like behaviors that people have. So behaviors is like what is behaviors? Then where is like the environment? So the environment and the space that you're in, the the room that you're in, for example. And then how is the capability that someone has? And that'll be always justified by the why. Because it all correlates with each other. And the beliefs and values, when someone asks what, they're justifying on the why based off their beliefs and their values they have from either themselves, their parents, or just in general. And then when someone asks who, it's the identity. It's like who's that? Who's the identity attached to that person, you know? And then the purpose, the big purpose, you know? Or I don't know whether you know because you may be unconsciously incompetent. Whatever it is perfect for you. This is why you're watching this masterclass, this is why you're tuning in wherever you are in the world. And this is the line between the two. That's the dotted line, you know? Unconscious side. You've got your conscious and your unconscious brain, and they're playing two different roles in this when it comes to the questions that people ask. Now you shall take a photo. Any questions around this? No, Carl, I'll happy listening to you. My internal dialogue expressing itself out loud. Oh, and the when. This is something that I've learnt in sales is something I used to be so scared of doing is asking questions that people don't like the answer to. Never be afraid to ask the tough questions because generally those tough questions are what's going to move the needle for someone. And don't be surprised if the answer to your question wasn't solved if you didn't ask the questions, because questions are the answer. And when you can have real conversations with people, you get honest feedback from people. And this is my feedback from people tuning in. But hey, it's all perfect the way it should be. Now, sometimes this is like when this model I'm sharing with you, put a message in the chat or comment if you ever felt triggered before. I fucking feel triggered all the time. Not all the time. Well, sometimes I've learned to harness it and control it with this model, the allowing model. So first is to recognitive. So you recognize there's a question someone's asked you that you may not have the answer to. Then you reflect on the question specifically, and then you respond in either way. Responsive. Sometimes people will resist to receive what is happening. And just keep communicating that. So if they're very resistive to it, then they get reactive. So when someone says a question to them, you could say in the wrong tone. You could also say it in the incorrect way, or the context was out of whack. Someone then becomes reactive, and then they end up biting back to that question. They use energy to project their stuff onto you, which in turn was reflexive. They end up reflecting the muscle and deflected to recreate from reactive. And that's like a major one in society. Hmm. Have you ever wondered what goes on in your brain with thoughts and feelings you have? Well, I'm about to show you. First side of your brain is a reptile brain, survival brain. So it's mostly known as the reptile brain due to its binary nature of I survived. Great. Well, then let's always do that. The vagus nerve is the connective path to determine it's safe or unsafe. Then you've got the limbic brain, which is the feeling brain. So when someone asks you a question where you may feel like it's too much for them to ask that question, and then you recognize that it's not too much depending on where you're at. Because the limbic or emotional brain also controls the digestive systems. That mean when we are burping or farting, certain processes when we're in personal development healing space, there's evidence we are going beyond the compartmentalization of the neocortex. Huh. Mm. And then you've got the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain. The last brain to come online is the brain responsible. This is the brain responsible for compartmentalization, process that occurs for us when associations have been created from. Mm. And the vagus nerve, the soul nerve, the bidirectional communication method and brake for the nervous system. This is just thrown in there to give some context around certain questions that you may ask. And then what's happening on the external stimulus? Sensory input is the perceptions, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, think. Filtering is the polarizations. So delete, distort, generalize, biology, beliefs. And then the meaning to it, which is the stories we suggest. So how your internal dialogue narrates your experience, which we then perceive as your thoughts. It's a worldview, the paradigm, model of the world, external identity, internal. How you contextualize your experience drives your behaviors, which is filtered through your own core wounds. So if you get triggered by someone asking you a question, there's a deeper healing for that. No matter what phase you're in, no matter what level you're in of awareness, every question, get triggered by it, initiation for you to heal that part. Context, behaviors, the actions, conscious awareness, and all comes together as one. What did you learn and love? It's gone shorter than expected, but hey, it is what it is. And if you didn't learn anything, well, then this is a wrong masterclass for you, or I just had a mishap and a miscommunication myself, which happens, we're only human. And this is a part where is it okay if I offer support if you want it? Because I love helping people only if you want it. if you desire it. You learned so much from this and you feel like you want further support with something, we can have a chat. If you click on this link, this beautiful QR code, unlocking authenticity. Oh, we have a calendar available and we can have a chat. Well, I rushed through that because I was going to go really fast or slow, depending on the internal dialogue I was giving myself. If you got value from this, if you enjoyed it, drop your key takeaways, what you learned, what you loved in the comments. And if you want further support, scan that QR code or follow me and let's be our most authentic self. Have a lovely night wherever you are in the world. And don't worry, there'll be more of these coming. Just practice. Progress. Bye, guys. Love you all.